What is happening, baby? Welcome back to the Huddle Chat Sports Network's very own Fantasy Football Huddle, presented by Danklyfe brand. And as always, I'm your host, Dallas Clark. Today, we're discussing the lessons we learned through week 2 of NFL action, talking about some of the big key injuries that happened because there were a lot of them, unfortunately. And I'm giving you guys a slew of players you need to add right now in your waiver wire hunt this week. Strengthen that roster. Let's not waste any time today. Let's fill up our cups, roll something up, and get right into the injury report. You have another Rams wide receiver going down this week when Cooper Kupp left the game early and was seen in a walking boot after the game. Time will tell how much time he misses, if any, but Cooper Kupp even being limited at the current moment. And then you also have Puka Nacua out. That's going to raise up Demarcus Robinson, who I mentioned in this episode last week, and Tyler Johnson. Definitely worth looking at them as additions to your roster. But it is worth noting that Rams offense did look very lost after Cooper Kupp went out last week. However, of course, throughout an entire week of game prep and things like that, you would hope they would be much better prepared for that situation next week. So keep your eyes on Demarcus Robinson and Tyler Johnson for wide receiver ads. Another big wide receiver loss this week was Justin Jefferson. Not necessarily a loss. He did leave the game early with what was called a quad contusion. He said that he plans to play next week, and he should be fine. But if Justin Jefferson is even limited in any capacity, I'm looking at Jalen Nailor, who scored a touchdown this week and has been getting heavy involvement due to the absence of Jordan Addison. So I'm looking at Jalen Nailor as well as a really decent waiver wire ad at the wide receiver position. You're looking at Isaiah Pacheco getting rolled up on. Unfortunately, it's one of the least favorite things as a former football player that you like to see, because especially I played on the offensive line. Seeing those roll-up injuries, they're always so unfortunate, and that's what happened to Isaiah Pacheco. It's definitely going to be worth adding Carson Steele right now, getting a lot of the early down work, and especially considering that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not eligible to return until after week 4 from injured reserve, because you're looking at Isaiah Pacheco now being expected to hit injured reserve, which would leave Carson Steele, who's been getting a lot of that early down work, to be primed to take over as the number 1 running back in this offense. It might not be the same production you get from Isaiah Pacheco, but you're definitely looking at Carson Steele being worth an addition. Another big running back loss this week was Joe Mixon suffering an ankle injury on Sunday Night Football. No official word that I've seen yet as of the recording of this video. However, if he is to miss any time or come in a limited capacity, you're looking at Dameon Pierce or Cam Akers. Dameon Pierce lost his job last season and might have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and Cam Akers fumbled late in the game, so it's really going to be a toss-up. I believe Dameon Pierce would be the more lucrative addition, but I would believe that the Houston Texans would go with more of a running back by committee. Also just announced today, Deebo Samuels will be out for the next few weeks due to a calf injury. I believe it was a calf strain that he has right now. There's also a couple of big backup running back losses that we had this week, or backup running back injuries. You're looking at Tyjae Spears taking an ankle injury, which will be boosting up Tony Pollard's production for you in the coming weeks. And then you're also looking at Tank Bigsby, who is starting to carve out a big role in that Jacksonville Jaguars offense, also suffering an injury, a shoulder injury late in the game. So you're going to be looking at Travis Etienne being able to get a lot more work as well. That's going to be it for most of the big injuries that have happened. There were a lot more key injuries, but those are the big ones that affect fantasy football the most. Now moving on to the players that you must add in your waiver wire hunt this week. Before we go on to that, make sure you tune into Sunday's live kickoff pregame show. We have it at 9:30 Mountain Standard Time and 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Make sure you tune in. We give you up to the minute injury news. We give you a nice pregame report as well. Help you win some money on your favorite betting platform, and then I give you any information that you need, you ask for in your comments. Also, drop in the comments below and let me know how you guys' teams performed in week 2 and if any of these injuries affected you yourself. And make sure you smash that like button, because you have no idea how much it helps, and hit that subscriptions bar as well as that notifications bell. Now to talk about the players that we must add on the waiver wire this week, at least pay attention to. Some of them are be stash players. Some of these will be instant starts. Starting off with the running back position, I'm looking at Antonio Gibson for the New England Patriots. It was a really nice change of pace back this week for New England, and he was very efficient. He had 96 yards on that 11 carries that he had in the New England Patriots offense, and Ramondre is still the number one running back, hands down. This offense will want to run a lot due to the lack of level of the wide receivers that are around him and the pass catchers that are around Drake May and the rookie quarterback. So you're going to be looking at this team wanting to run a lot, and I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibilities that Antonio Gibson gets 11 to 12 carries a game, as he may not be always this efficient, but I think Antonio Gibson is definitely worth a look. I'm also going to be looking at Braylon Allen, at least worth looking at stashing him. He's already getting high usage, which is very encouraging in this New York Jets offense. He did score 2 touchdowns this week, which will jump off the page, and I'm not advocating for chasing the touchdown production. I think worst case scenario, he's a high-end handcuff running back that you can add to your team, and he's starting to get standalone value himself as well. So you're looking at, if anything does happen to Breece Hall, Braylon Allen would definitely step up and assume a lot of the role that Breece Hall currently has. Another player that I've been banging the drum about recently has been Ty Chandler. I've been talking about him since before your drafts, telling you he was a great late stash. You're looking at him having more yards and touches this week than Aaron Jones. He's acting as the 1B in this offense right now. You do know that Aaron Jones did get all the targets in the passing game as far as the running back goes. So he still doesn't have that level of his game yet added in for the Minnesota Vikings, which is a little confusing because he is a very good pass catcher. He's getting legit usage in these first 2 weeks, and he got legit usage today or this week in a tough matchup. And he's more than just a handcuff running back at this point. And if Aaron Jones misses any time, Ty Chandler might mess around and be a top 10 running back. Moving on from the running back position, we're going to be going to the wide receiver position. Looking at Quentin Johnston, he's got back-to-back good weeks. He scored 2 touchdowns this week alone. You're looking at him being used more efficiently than he has been in past years, getting more intermediate routes, and he's the leading wide receiver right now in this offense. I think Quentin Johnston does have a couple of back-to-back tough matchups these next few weeks, so lower your expectations over the next few weeks, but right now might be the best time to grab him, stash him on your roster, and have a nice trick up your sleeves. An honorable mention that I want to give at wide receiver right now is going to be Jalen Tolbert from the Dallas Cowboys. He right now is being the wide receiver 2 in this offense, and with CeeDee Lamb getting the majority of the defensive attention, you're looking at Jalen Tolbert really starting to carve out a role for himself, especially in deeper leagues. He's worth a look right now, potentially looking at adding him in your waiver wire. But I didn't add him on this. That's why he's just an honorable mention, just because he's not really somebody you want to add right now. He's just somebody I'm paying attention to. Moving on into the wide receiver position, or into the quarterback position, I got a couple of options for you if you need a streaming quarterback, somebody to replace that Jordan Love injury that we are still suffering with. You're looking at Derek Carr that I've been talking about. I talked about last week. He's got back-to-back 3 touchdown games. And the Saints have been absolutely rolling on offense, but you're looking at them playing the Philadelphia Eagles, which some think is a tough matchup, and it is, but their secondary is the weakness of this defense, and they will let up points. I don't think that the Saints are going to be as good as their 44 and 47 point put-ups that they've had in these last 2 weeks, but nobody thought, even including myself, thought that the Saints were going to look that damn good against that Dallas Cowboys matchup they had this week. Another quarterback I'm looking at is Geno Smith. He had 17-plus points in back-to-back games, and he has a favorable matchup this coming week as well. You're looking at him having DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba all around him as pass catchers, so he's very comfortable right now at a quarterback, and he's able to just sling it freely to those talented wide receivers he got in that wide receiver room, and I'm liking Geno Smith a lot right now. Moving on and finishing things off with the tight end position for you. For some tight ends you can add, I'm looking at Mike Gesicki. He had a touchdown called back in week 1, which would have had his week 1 performance be a lot better, would have easily been one of the top 3 tight end performances in week 1. He was the team's leading wide receiver this week and had more yards and targets than Jamar Chase. You're looking at them playing Washington in Cincinnati next week, which is a very favorable matchup, so I like Mike Gesicki. I do like Hunter Henry a little more than Mike Gesicki. However, I like Mike Gesicki's matchup better. Speaking about Hunter Henry, that's the next tight end that I wanted to speak about, and that's why I brought him up. He absolutely dominated target share in this offense this week. He had more targets than every other New England Patriot player combined. He had a 50% plus target share this week, and it's not always going to be that insane target share, but you're looking at tight ends typically thriving when they have wide receivers around them that are subpar, when there's not a true alpha wide receiver that can really take charge and take that target share. So I think Hunter Henry, this is going to be the best position he's been in since his early years with the Chargers. And I think that he is going to thrive this season as well. Like I said, due to that lack of elite wide receiver. And you're looking at Jacoby Brissett loving to throw to the tight end. He always has and he always will. So I think Hunter Henry is definitely worth an ad. But like I said, I like Mike Gesicki's matchup a little more. Last player we're talking about today is going to be Colby Parkinson from the Rams. He only put up 2.2 points this week, but you're looking at him probably going to see an increase of targets with no Puka Nacua, with Cooper Kupp nursing an injury, especially if Cooper Kupp misses any time. Colby Parkinson is definitely worth some of your attention. That's going to do it today for what we learned in week 2 and some of those waiver wire ads you need to lock up before week 3. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and always make sure to keep your chin up and your attitude down, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.